they would end up taking it. Now, keep in mind that there is usually one of the 3 hard breachers banned on this map. Maverick does tend to inhabit more of a true hard breacher role. It's usually Hibana who ends up getting banned out. Liquid will immediately take Glaz off of the board, and the counter ban from INTZ will be Hibana. So we'll see things play out very similarly to what we saw, I would imagine, from both FaZe and Red Devils, with a Maverick being an almost must pick on every single attacking round.
I have to say the Hibana ban is kind of boring. You know, it's typical, it's expected, you're going to have it on the bank, and it makes for a style of basement play that is just a little bit less interesting. And I think the biggest thing is that it puts pressure on teams to win their basement holds as well. It reminds me of Clubhouse before the rework, whereas you had to win that basement hold, regardless of whatever operators were in play. And yeah, I mean, it makes for a really kind of a stale basement defense, and usually a pretty heavy emphasis on the typical server take from the attacking team. Not really a whole lot of option for maneuverability there. We have seen some teams actually do some really interesting stuff where they'll attack from the teller's drop or the elevator drop. Do things a little bit different because there is no Hibana, but not going to be the case, I think, most times on a basement attack. Interesting 6 pick off of the Jackal into the Ying. Not going to be expecting the roamers, or so it seems here from INTZ. And Clash will also be 6 picked off of. I do like that. Clash is an interesting. I mean, we've seen her used well at times, but most of the time when we see a Clash picked, she's not much of an influence in any round.
I wanted to note here that the pulse ban and the way this echo ban are going to play out is going to change the rhythm of that basement. But I mean, so without a pulse, what do you think? They'll rely a lot more on the Valkyrie to be able to provide that information, because so much of the locker CCTV defense hinges solely upon a pulse sitting inside a gold, feeding you that intel so you can play around it. And obviously, I think the phrase that I use quite frequently to describe this is that there's a rhythm to the way you play that. But being able to know when to toss your C4 at the right moment due to that pulse can mean the difference between a down, a kill, or even just simply damaging the hull of the attacking team.
I mean, I think there's ways to compensate for a lack of pulse, like a Maestro, for example, or a Valkyrie, or a Mira, but they haven't decided to bring the Maestro, just the Valkyrie and the Mira. It's definitely enough if used correctly and if INTZ are unable to find the Valkyrie cams, but the cams are not positioned in server right now, so they're not positioned to deny a default push. Nesk has the last cam, though, in hand, and he could potentially put one in server. We'll find out later, I suppose. Either way, one of them's already going to be taken out by Intact, so that's good efficiency. And yes, this last camera will be placed in a position to try and deny the plant. He ended up placing it incorrectly. You want it to be on the actual ceiling. That way, it's harder to see and it sees more. And he can't pick it up. You can see he's trying, but I'm pretty sure you can't pick it up from that position. So
no, I don't think so.
Incorrect placement from Nesk, unfortunate, but hopefully for his team, it'll go overlooked by INTZ.
Yeah, that's a very cheeky cam. I think a lot of people don't realize that that's definitely available, and the more that you see it played, the more that I would imagine it will probably get brought out to the masses.
Well, it's kind of useless right now because he placed it wrong. But again, if you put it on the ceiling, then it can see pretty much the whole site.
Yeah. So anywho, a bit of a mistake there from Liquid. We'll see if that's going to be a major impediment towards their success on that site, as INTZ have taken 90 seconds to get in, and there has been very minimal destruction taken from them. All of the hatches still remain completely reinforced on INTZ's side of things, and a well-balanced frag grenade all the way down will take no damage whatsoever off of Gohan. Playing very close with that shotgun. He does have a C4 and can possibly go fishing here, as he might throw out a line towards the main door of CCTV. SMG in hand to be able to engage quickly at close range. Just a bit of a pre-fire there, but will not find any intended target. The frag grenade will go down and it will connect this time. We take a tiny bit of paint off of the fresh new job done on that car. Gohan still getting flashed and just completely under siege here. Look at all this utility being used. That's a good double up as Intact is able to get down, with Gohan looking the other way. Nades
and flashes and everything to distract there for Gohan. He really had very little chance. He might have been able to take away a kill, but would have been refragged immediately. Overall, though, just about the perfect situation for INTZ on that server take. I think that's not so perfect is their time management. we're coming down to the last 25 seconds here, and Team Liquid still have plenty of C4, plenty of gas canisters to deny the push. But here comes the Ying. That could be all that is necessary. Well-placed Candelas. Good to see the Bandit, though, take down Drunks. Yuke is able to refrag onto Nesk, and it's just a back and forth here. The C4 and gas canisters being shot, but no, not the second one. And here we go, Liquid with the cleanup. INTZ will lose out despite having a good start to that round, and good defense there from Liquid.
Overall, super impressed with that one. Very, very impressive with Liquid's bounce back on it, and it just ultimately was, I think, INTZ taking way too long.
Yeah. It's going to be Teller's Office Archives for the next defense, and basement defense being successful for the, well, the defense is pretty standard fare. Their utility management was good. INTZ's time management, very, very poor. They had to rush themselves in the end, and you could tell that they weren't attacking in the way they really wanted to.
Did Paulu really change his name to Paulucifer?
I think so. I mean,
it's just a word. Just a word of advice.
Do we call him Lucifer now?
We call him Paulu. Just a word of advice. The same thing happened with Senpapi Gio, who has changed his name. He was Sleepy Gio for a while here.
Yeah.
We are given a very limited window into what players are what. If you look at the top, you have 3 characters. Okay. Seeing Pilu is at least good enough for us to know that it's hopefully Paulu. Right. But there have been times where players have completely changed their handles and come in and been the same player, and that information has not necessarily been relayed to admins and has not been...
Shuttle.
Yes. Changing his name to Freedom, which inspired quite a bit of confusion.
New feed active.
So, for prospective players looking to get into Pro League, we beg of you, please, pretty please, stick to the main handle.
He changed it back, which I'm very happy about.
To be fair, Shuttle changed his name to Freedom for a couple weeks, and people were very openly critical of the handle itself and said that it wasn't...
I like Shuttle.
Shuttle's a great name, and that was the other
thing. He's the carry Shuttle.
Well, I mean, it was just a good moniker, nonetheless. So anywho, with Paulucifer actually is quite clever when you think about it, but at the same time, at first blush, it's very confusing. So.
I wasn't sure if I should call him Lucifer.
Paulucifer. So.
This is a great camp from Ness.
Yes, it is.
He's going to get some good information here on the terrace, and you can see the Buck unaware. Could potentially lose his life if Liquid plays this right, or Ness specifically plays this right. We know that Nesk has that infamous aim, but he's going to miss the shot, and Intact won't. A clean headshot there for INTZ, and early lead for the attackers. Especially early. We're not even a minute in. Well, just barely coming on a minute in. Good information gathered here from INTZ as well. They're going to know that they can push into Skylight and meet relatively light resistance if they choose to attack the B bomb site.
A bomb has been located.
All right, so more drone work from INTZ here as they need to be better on time management. And you can, like I said a couple maps ago, it's totally okay and totally cool for you to take your dear time and try to drone things out. And we won't get anything droned out here on INTZ's side of things, as both Gohan and Paulu are able to take 2 pretty big entry kills down. The disruption that could be caused by Zofia eliminated, and the Buck also gone. It's going to be a significant issue here. This also means that when you look up top in CEO over top of this Teller's Archives site, you're going to have basically one person able to do anything here, and that's going to be the Ash of Yuke, who, in terms of his way that he's played, is probably not going to be tasked with going up to CEO. What a read from Gohan, as that is maximum IQ engaged through the wall, likely with a Valkyrie camera. Yuke downstairs eliminates Zig. And Boar now entering into lobby himself. Keep in mind there are cams that might still be available to possibly be giving this information over, Michael. So not that strange, though definitely a massive shot from Gohan.
Yuke is inside the site, but he doesn't have the diffuser. That was Boar who had it, and Paulu's going to take him down. Yuke now in a 1 versus 3, and he's in a crossfire. Gohan's going to get him from behind. Liquid, an excellent lockout there on Tellers, and that's 2 in a row for the defense and for Liquid specifically. So that hold overall, a lot of it comes down to poor droning, poor time management, and poor coordination on the side of INTZ. But time management not as evident there in that round as it was in the previous one. The main thing was the coordination and the droning, or the lack thereof. We saw INTZ trying to enter into the building from almost every single possible avenue, usually in teams of 1 or 2, and there was almost nobody droning for anybody else on INTZ's side. Because of that, Liquid was able to roam pretty easily and win most of their fights. Even some fights they really shouldn't have. That shot through the wall from Gohan was just, I mean, even if it was a camera, still a little bit of luck there for Gohan. And congratulations to him for though. Clean shot, good game sense, all things considered. Liquid's gonna go out as CEO, and they have looked indomitable so far in this match, but it's still early days.
Yeah. One thing as well with that is that Gohan's going to be credited with that kill, but that could have entirely come from just somebody else's play and then just an instinctive pre-fire, right?
Yeah.
It's always funny to see people react to those kind of shots, thinking that there's some form of suspicion there, because these players have immense game sense, right? And it's one of those things where we see quite literally inhuman reactions happening to be able to, you know, maybe just get lucky on a pre-fire, and it's a real. It's literally a shot, you know, a one-time. What am I looking for here?
Shot in the dark.
One chance in a lifetime. I don't know. My brain has stopped working. Apparently.
Once in a lifetime chance.
Yes,
that one. Yeah.
Once in a lifetime.
Took me a second.
Once in a lifetime.
Yeah.
Sometimes the idioms escape me, Michael.
Yeah. No, it's okay.
So
I'm on that boat too.
Let's turn and focus to round number 3 here, and a defense of the CEO. So far, Bank did end up being quite a defensive showcase in the FaZe versus Red Devils matchup. It might be the same on this time around, especially with Hibana being banned. Hard to state the significance of one Heart Breacher being taken off the table.
Interesting setup there from the Evil Eyes on Gohan. He's going to double stack them in CEO, so they're fairly confident the attack is going to come from Skylight, which is still possible for INTZ, but it's not guaranteed just yet. Looks like they're setting up for, I mean, lobby take possibly. I mean, this is the problem that INTZ had last round. They're all over the place.
I am confused with the Finka pick without a shield. Now, a lot of teams that will run this Finka will do so without the access to a shield, sure, but if you're going to be trying to take CEO, it would make a lot of sense to position somebody on the window, maybe have a shield come through the main lobby, maybe even have a shield try to go through those 2 CEO panels in the back with a thermite charge, and then activate the Finka boost.
Yeah.
When you look at Liquid's lineup, there's no smoke here. So there really isn't that much of a problem that you have to deal with. Especially with Echo being banned, there's no goo mines. Finka literally has no counters to her ability right now, especially with Ella not being on the board. So all of the main ways to slow a Finka down, well, they're gone.
Yeah. Well, still no shields to support that. Zig is going to eat some damage from the Ash charge there. That hit the wall. Mirror window still in play though, so a little bit of damage lost, but still easy to hold that position, given his utility. Palu, doing his best to hold on to reception. And he's actually going to heal up Zig, which is great use of that utility. Sexy Cake managing to get a headshot there onto attack using the shotgun. Well done to him from just inside of sight. Looks like it was on the Buck, who was just below, trying to open up holes and get access to that CEO wall. Access denied. Well done to Sexy.
So overall, we'll see the second exothermic charge try to go off here, as there's a mute jammer that gets set down, and Nesk is going to do some fragging of his own. Drunks with that LMG will tear through Palu and pick up a second. He doesn't have any adrenal surges left and not a ton of life either. You're going to look to rotate out. Yuke is there and you near the R4C, do some work on the Zig. That'll be a repeat of what happened last time around. Ness picks up another kill with Gohan there, and Boar will be tasked with finding his kills. He'll start with one on the Ness. But look at the HP on Boar. Only 20 seconds left to go. You still got an Evil Eye. That, quite safely, will be able to take him down the moment that he enters a plant position. But it looks like the Thermite is just going to push and go for kills, and the intel being given to Gohan through his Evil Eye, the Gadget doing the work while Gohan's team helps him out, and then it's very easy for him to just be able to train his sights toward the bomb chassis and finish off the Thermite. Liquid right now, as you said, I think you said indomitable, a great way to describe it. They're perfect through 3 rounds, similar to what we saw from Red Devils in the last matchup.
Well, if Liquid is able to win this next round, they will be in a different wheelhouse though, because Red Devils only got those 3 in a row. When they managed to get 5 total, but started falling off after the initial 3. Now, INTZ have seriously struggled with these last few rounds in terms of their coordination, as in they haven't really had any. I'm not really sure what they were thinking there. They were trying to come from the main lobby and the Skylight at the same time. Every single time INTZ would peek for a kill, there was little to no chance of a refrag. It almost managed to work out. INTZ did get, I think, a lot of kills over by reception. That was good work for them being able to put in that flank, but ultimately, the fact that they spread out their forces meant that as soon as Liquid started fighting back, there was little to no chance of INTZ winning the round out. Now, Liquid will be going back to the basement, which is the first site they defended since they've been successful on every single site so far.
Perfect rotation. Not often, actually, that we see those, but so far, we've actually seen every match have one today.
Oh yeah, look at that.
Immortals did it on defense, on Aviator Trophy and Kitchen in order to give their team the victory over on Villa. We saw NIP do it on their defense as well on Oregon with Dorms, Laundry, and Tower. Red Devils did it to start things off in the Lockers, CCTV, Open Area, and CEO. And then we just saw Lockers, Tellers, CEO from Team Liquid. So 4 perfect defensive rotations so far today.
Yeah, definitely a bit of an odd day. I mean, overall, it's been an odd day.
I do, and I would like some statistics on this at some point. Hopefully we will be able to get them, Siege GG if you were listening, would be to possibly get stats on what the defender and attack rates are so far. Because I feel like, looking just very quickly through my notebook, the defense are winning a, pardon the pun, lion's share of rounds more than anything. And that could also be with the retooling of the fact that it's 6 rounds on attack and 6 rounds on defense, and the absence of Lion. It could be playing a pretty big role.
I think the absence of Lion is not to be understated, because if you think about it, Ubisoft have done a lot of balancing with Lion included in their mindset. So like a lot of the ways that the defenders and attackers are set up, it seems as though it was to compensate for Lion's existence, and Lion just doesn't exist anymore in competitive play. So anyway, moving on to this match, halfway through the round so far, and no action just yet. That's typical of a basement hold.
Attackers have recovered their
Sexy Cake downstairs, waiting again as time is hitting the halfway mark. This double jump that is seen quite common now as he hops in towards the red hat, or the red hall, and then moves on over. All of Liquid reading into the fact that it is going to be a vault drop, and vault drops can go wrong very fast. If you try to drop without adequate utility or good drone work, well, you get cut down from a number of sites looking that direction. Because there are 5 members of Liquid still up, you can have one person just watch the CCTV server side of things, while the remaining 4 scramble on over. And for Nesk, he's just going to wait very patiently. I would imagine it's likely going to be a smoke drop, asphyxiating bolts to cut off rotates, essentially done by Intact Capital, and there you go. Duds will start things with Sexy Cake and a C4 from Nesk. He'll go fishing, and he's going to catch one. It's Intact. Nesk through the smoke, taking out Drunks, and there's still about just under a minute left as the rest of INTZ trying to reposition. Yuke will pick up that diffuser and just head into the bomb site and start to plant over by B. There's an Evil Eye just sitting watching him, but he has a breaching round. There you go. He'll use it, but all the while stalling for time. He'll be vulnerable for 7 seconds, Michael, as there can be Nesk pushing in. Whether he'll be able to hold the angle, I'm not sure. Duds trying to hold things off. Zig takes out Duds. Nesk gets felled by Boar as the plant goes down successfully, and INTZ will try to hold on now. They do have a disadvantage in numbers, and Yuke has taken some heavy losses, but Gohan's going to peek a little bit too slowly. Palu doesn't know where anybody is. Information not provided to him, and there's Yuke just running riot now as he'll pick up another kill. Zig finds Boar and will have to take out Yuke. Former teammates, once playing in Latin America side by side, will now have to face off against one another. A great weapon in the R4C waiting as Yuke just holds inside a vault. And Zig will have to go for the defuse. A C4 gets tossed over, but it'll miss as Yuke just dodges through it. He'll have to head on over. Time is not on the side of Zig, but Yuke is going to miss. Zig comes on out. The timer is too low. Even if he gets the kill, it's all over for Liquid, but it won't be as INTZ closes it out with Yuke on a great round. And ultimately, time being the bigger adversary for Liquid. The vault drop proving successful, and INTZ will break the streak of Liquid taking Lockers on attack.
This is almost an exact replica of what we saw in the previous match. The only difference being that in the second round, Red Devils defended open area, whereas in the second round here, Liquid defended Tellers. But in terms of, other than that, in terms of round count, in terms of who's winning on attack defense and the sides played, it's pretty much the same as FaZe versus Red Devils. So if that trend continues, we will see Team Liquid go back downstairs, and they will be successful on their second attempt. And looks like, yes, they'll be downstairs. The previous match has spoken. Liquid is going to win this round. So, with the round count being 4-1 already, we'll just move on.
Are you going to be, you're going to be here a soothsayer?
Well, no, I'm not a soothsayer, Parker. We're talking about the last match here. The last match was exactly the same as this one, except for one thing.
Well, I mean, they didn't go to open air, yeah.
That's the one thing.
But they also weren't the same teams. They also weren't the same lineups.
Okay.
The bans were different.
Stop poking holes in my logic, Parker. You're not allowed to use actual logic. It's against the rules.
I'm Maverick. All I do is poke holes and run away.
All right.
I got that one for you.
That one was kind of stretching.
Okay, listen here. I thought that one wasn't that bad.
No, it wasn't that bad.
All right, let's take a look at what's happening. The screen currently showing you off the wonderful scoreboard that you can take a look at. And Yuke being on a more traditional fragging role. I think a lot of people have been critical of Yuke's tenure in Pro League. He's actually bounced around from a number of teams. Keep in mind he played for Immortals last season, now he's on INTZ. He used to play for the roster of Liquid way back in the day when they were known as BRK, if you recall. He's had quite a tour of duty, a long service medallion being paid to him for the amount of time that he's spent in this scene, but has always been, I think, overlooked. And as a player, has not been able to have the same success that his other teammates have and is often found as odd man out. So a bit of a return to form for Yuke in this matchup at least, but this could just be a flash in the pan.
Who knows? Well, looks like some rotation holes opened up at the top floor. No actual roamers to use them. We do have roamers, but none upstairs, or so it seems right now from Liquid. Doing their best to delay this round as much as possible, and that's an early kill for Nesk. I wish I could have seen that shot. It must have been incredibly clean. A 3-speed, very quick headshot there for Nesk. He's going for more too. You can see him challenging, and wow, I have no idea what INTZ was thinking there. Nobody droned out server, and he's simply trying to rush past Nesk. Why? Anyway, giving away his life, and now INTZ will be in a seriously bad position. Nesk still roaming upstairs. Drunk's gonna get the first kill for his team, and the second as well, using that sidearm, but that's the second for Nesk also. So we're putting him on low HP, but Drunks is all the way in sight. And Boar with the diffuser will drop it to Sexy Cake, again the second person to try and push into server with no information.
It says 20 meters on where that diffuser is for Drunks, but it might as well be a mile away, as he's gonna have every member of Liquid knowing his position and having to try to go through it. Just for good measure, he can try and grab hold of any intel. Those Valkyrie cameras will now be given to INTZ, and that could actually be a major boon in allowing him to get this diffuser. Just narrowly missing the outline there of one member of Liquid. As you can see, all of Team Liquid have coalesced around this diffuser, knowing that it's incumbent upon Drunks to be able to grab it. His advance will be choked off by a toxic canister, and while the legs of the Dokkaebi are spotted by Palu, he's going to fall off. That carbide does great damage, but a headshot is obviously your priority here, as Drunks is just going to continue to eat shots through that hatch. Zero control, and not really much opportunity, as this is going to be a fool's errand for Drunks to try and work his way through. The caliber destruction on the soft wall that he created earlier on will now work against him as he hugs the wall, looking to possibly take one person down in the process, but he's not going to get it. A great round from Nesk, all started off by that beautiful shot, that entry up top of Skylight. Liquid will shut the door, and Michael, you are a soothsayer as things go according to plan. Given the previous match, it's 4-1 for Liquid.
So now we know what the Buck was thinking. Now we know what INTZ was thinking in that round, and Boar as well. Rushing into server, having not droned it out, and dying very easily to Sexy Cake. They were thinking, hey, Trunk is in sight. We need to get in sight and plant the diffuser. The problem is that they were trying to go into sight through a different avenue, one that was not cleared out. So if, bear with me here, we had seen INTZ, instead of rushing into the unknown, simply rotated and tried to take up the lane that Drunks had used, we might have seen a different outcome. That is a big if though, and also important, it looks like we will be seeing a rehost, as this is still just into the prep phase. So,
waiting on admin call.
Waiting on admin call, which is, I think, given recent history, the correct course of action, but it looks like it has been made.
Yeah, there's another member of...
Everything ready, so we can actually get the action underway, and it will carry on from where we left off, because, of course, the disconnect was in the first 15 seconds of that prep phase. Teller's office archives as the defense here for Liquid. So we're starting our second circle here, but they won't be able to complete it because this is the last round of the first half.
So instead of going back up to CEO, they're instead going to go to Tellers, as you mentioned.
And the overall operator selection here from Liquid, pretty sound. It looks like they are going to be roaming heavily upstairs. That makes a lot of sense considering they've brought the mute. On INTZ's side, got an interesting kit. Again, the Finca being brought.
Look at the lineup, though, from INTZ. You've got 3 flashes on Ashe. You've got the 2 concussive blasts from Sophia. You've got 4 frags on the Finca and the Buck. And then you take a look to the right at Liquid's lineup, and what's absent? A Jaeger.
That's a good point. Not having that Jaeger is going to seriously hurt, and we've been seeing the absence of Jaeger quite a lot recently, despite him not being banned, in moments where he could be incredibly useful. So a different mentality here from the defensive teams as of late, and that is definitely a tricky one, and you expect it to work against the defenders. It has been a factor, but not the most important thing, I think, to take away from a lot of the rounds where he's absent. I'm not sure. I mean, it's weird, but it hasn't exactly been too much of a hindrance. The lack of Jaeger, that is. Well, we'll see how it plays out in this round. Liquid are going to be setting up their standard mirror window, facing into Tellers. That makes sense, because Tellers is one of the easier sites to get control of as the attacking team when you compare it to Archives. I mean, it really depends on how you set yourself up as an attacking team. If you're going to take top 4, for example, Archives is really easy to clear into, especially if you're pushing from Skylight. There's a nice Valkyrie cam there in the open area. You can see intact. And we'll be calling out a lot of good information for Liquid.
So even though the site is Teller's Archives, we are seeing essentially a CEO defense up top, especially being anchored off by this mirror window that Zig has set up above. If you lose control of that second floor, that's a problem. Now, with INTZ, when they were attacking the Teller's Archives previously, one of the first casualties on their side of things was the Buck. And of course, we commented on the time about how that means that the ability for INTZ to take map control away up top in CEO and make the lives miserable for the team below was essentially gone, and putting it all in Yuke's hands, who ended up sprinting into the site and getting a kill, but then dying himself to that beautiful play by Gohan through the wall. I would suspect now that given this mirror strategy upstairs, INTZ will stall out a little bit longer and have some difficulty trying to take care of the play from above. It will also necessitate a drop back from Liquid when they feel that they have done a sufficient time of killing time on the clock.
That's playing in CEO is in a good position, a little bit exposed. If INTZ drones before they clear into CEO, they could very well get an easy kill here onto Nesk, but they've been incapable of that so far. Boar, here we go. We'll call out Nesk's position, but that is just going to prompt Nesk to relocate. Good relocation, he will be in the hallway. It looks like he's been spotted out. And again, another rotation. Nesk, with the excellent game sense of where and when he's exposed and finding a new angle, is going to continue to delay INTZ as they come down to the last 40 seconds.
Playing the long angle is Duds there, and he's going to have an ACOG of his own to go against, which is going to be Palu playing on the Maestro, who's now walked back in towards Banana. He's going to rotate back out and play a little bit of give and go here as Nesk starts off the festivities, eliminating Yuke and slowing down that 3 speed. Has a great hole through the floor. Still, INTZ have really struggled to be able to take control of this second floor, and they're going to have to rotate now in towards the bottom. Zig is going to feast upon Intact and Sexy Cake, and Zig will pick up more, and Gohan softening up a corpse, but it's Drunk's last left, who sprints in as a last-ditch effort, and an inability from INTZ to take that second floor away from Liquid will be their downfall, and then the clock striking midnight on them. It'll be a 5-1 score heading into that second half, with Liquid in a commanding lead to be able to close this out.
Did you see Intact just walk by Zig? No information on INTZ's side. I mean, part of it is the mute. Part of it is the fact that Liquid is excellent at hitting those drones and denying information and keeping a line of guns to shoot the drones before they can actually get what information is necessary. But still, INTZ is operating with little to no information because they're spreading themselves too thin. They need to focus their intentions on one thing in particular, and that needs to be clear from the get-go, from the start of the round. Hey, leave your drones here. This is where we're entering. Hey, this is where we're going to need to get information on next. We're going to attack Tellers. We need to know if somebody's playing by cash bag. And here's the thing. Aside from just the drones and the lack of drones, cash bags is a default anchor position. You should know somebody's there. You really... Intact should not have walked by Zig there, is the point I'm trying to get at, whether or not he knew somebody was playing that position.
I think that a good metric as well to apply to teams is the way that they try to transition in towards a plan and get that execute off successfully. For INTZ, through those 6 rounds, they only got Diffuser down once, unless my numbers are wrong. I've been keeping track myself. Sometimes I am apt to forget. but it looks like INTZ got the diffuser down once, and that was the vault drop that they ended up winning when it came down to the Zig Uke 1v1, in which Zig just simply ran out of time and then ended up dying. The fact that INTZ haven't even been able to get a diffuser down, I think really speaks to the weakness behind their strategy, because Liquid is boxing them out. INTZ isn't in a position to be able to get the plant down because they're not getting close enough towards the site. That speaks to their droning issues, and that also speaks to their ability to manage the clock, as they've done so quite poorly so far.
Yeah, and they're just not working together at all either. I mean, if you a good way to compensate for not having enough information is to work together as a team, as a unit, and put yourselves in positions to refrag each other. But that's not the case here for INTZ. But it shouldn't be the most important thing as they move to defense. This is their last chance. If they win this round, then they keep alive, and they're going to have to win all subsequent rounds to get a win here. But if they lose even one, it's going to be match point and a guaranteed draw at the very least for Team Liquid. So, tricky spot here for INTZ. And by the way, when you guys, we critique INTZ for having poor information gathering. If you want to know what good information gathering looks like, that was it right there. That drone in the middle of server that is clearly calling out INTZ and Intact specifically inside of server. You will get the first kill though.
And that's the sole hard breacher of Liquid. That is a possible fatal blow already with 1:40 left in this round.
Yeah.
Intact is going to guard, and oh, what a shot from Intact. Followed up by a good one from Duds on Nepalu. Phone will ring away, and Intact will stop the push through that dirt tunnel and turn off the phone. That gadget will be quieted, leaving Sexy Cake and Gohan to have to shoulder the rest of the weight here. And of course, Liquid made difficult by the fact that they lost their hard breacher, but then I think got a bit too bold and just assumed that, oh, maybe if we push in, that'll pay dividends. Trying to assist Gohan's push, as you can hear the F2 rattling off downtown in the dirt tunnel. It's going to be a logic bomb, so all 5 members of INTZ will at least have their position notified.
Sexy Cake trying to make a play, but he's got the Legion traps 2 in a row to disrupt this push. It's not going to be an easy one. Gohan is just about to be peaked, but he doesn't know it. Gas canister will keep him stuck in dirt tunnel, and as Sexy Cake gets eliminated, it's all down to Gohan in the 1 versus 5. He will be eating away at that gas canister one little breath at a time. You will finish him off, and INTZ take their second round in this match. So good information gathering from Liquid, but overall the strategy, not fantastic. Trying to push into server there, I mean, it just got halted by the smoke.
And how are you going to pull off a server push when you know that there's smokes and C4s on the board, and you don't have a thermite to open up any of those walls, nor a hatch either?
You also don't have a, I mean, you don't have a glass, you don't have a shield, there's nothing.
Or a Maverick.
Or a Maverick. There's nothing, there's a lot of tools missing from Liquid that would be very useful when attacking the basement. Here's another really interesting thing. Now they're bringing a Maverick, and it cannot be the basement. Maverick is useful on a lot of these sites, sure, but he is most useful on the basement. Okay, good. It's a 6 pick. Spoke too soon there. Good job for Liquid realizing they don't really need the Maverick. Not really, unless they're attacking the basement.
Attackers need to
overall, their kit, though, pretty solid. Got a nice spread of soft destruction, the Ash and the Zofia. Got the hard destruction from the Thermite. Hopefully they don't lose him early on this time. Got the roam clear on the Jackal, and Gohan is ever proficient on Twitch. So he will very likely be able to get those mirror windows. We'll see. We'll see. Mirror windows on this side in particular, so important. And yeah, going to be on Gohan's shoulders for that.
Go on, Gohan.
Go Gohan.
With this reinforced panel up top, double reinforcement there. All right, they're probably going to put an Evil Eye on the other side of this. I was going to ask if INTZ was possibly going to risk the Maestro engaging in a long-range fight all the way over on the parking garage, but that would mean that Liquid could have possibly had a glass at their disposal, but no, that's not going to obviously be the case.
Alibi's interesting.
Alibi is interesting. We've seen Ninjas in Pajamas run Alibi on this map a couple times, and I actually think a couple teams have banned her once or twice on this map against NIP too. If I remember correctly, at the Paris Major, it was NIP using an Alibi strat against Fnatic on Bank in particular. Basically just designed to try and keep you guessing as to the location. Obviously with Alibi, you want to run a default skin as well, because that's it's pay to lose if you really run any other skins on her. So
I mean, you can. It's just going to cost you like a couple milliseconds of reaction on most people.
Might be all that matters.
Yeah, which is usually, at this level of play, all that matters. So,
absolutely.
Yeah, you want to run that default. So, overall, setup from both teams, kind of interesting. Lucifer, Palu, gonna be pushing into the top of Skylight. You can see he's got good control here. That storage room door, which is always a really heated area of the map when defending this top floor. Dutch just waiting for his opportunity to hold down that trigger. It's gonna be actually, looks like a slow peek there from Palu. He's just inching his way to the door. Probably just trying to hold down the flank. Doesn't want to give himself away as a free kill. And you're going to see the Jaeger actually fall all the way down to the basement through that three-way rotation. C4 from Boar is going to miss its mark, and he will rotate into storage. Attempt to hold the position his Jaeger abandoned.
It's going to get really tough for INTZ here now, depending on how they are able to evacuate the site, as Gohan has complete possession with that little drone of his, as it'll zip-zap around. Those alibi decoys actually working out quite well, but despite the marks, Palu will get the very first frag. It's the Jackal. Both Duds as well as Boar will try to creep in towards the site, but I think it's safe to say that INTZ has lost complete control. Diffuser going down, and there's Zig to take out Yuke, with two members of INTZ below, having to try and pop back up through the Skylight stairwell. Duds will miss most of his shots, a hard angle to hit, especially when going against an Ash with an ACOG. Drunk's just on site, will try and hold down the fort, but the Diffuser will hit the halfway mark. And now it's going to be Boar up next, trying to get past Nesk. Not an easy task. Low magazine and the Vector in his hands as he creeps all the way up, but oh, it's Nesk shutting the door and leaving no opportunity for a retake there. Gohan, just a bit of a formality with that Diffuser hitting the danger mark. Will finally grab Drunks, and Liquid will move to match point on Bank.
Now, considering how dominant that round win was for Team Liquid, you might be asking yourself, where was the backbone of the defense for INTZ? Well, I'll tell you, it was Duds and Boar, downstairs, on a deep, long flank, taking way too much time to commit to the retake. And another really tricky thing about that is if you're going to be going for a flank onto the Skylight, probably going to not see success. I mean, the reason nobody does that is that the only way to get up is through the stairs that are being watched while people are looking into sight. So the flank watch doesn't even need to be a dedicated flank watch. In this case, it was Nesk. He can be looking into sight and covering for his teammates while simultaneously watching the flank. There's no dedicated flank watch necessary, which is why, yeah, it's a very efficient sight take for that reason, and also one of the reasons why you don't want to be going for the flank very often. There are some ways to make it work, certainly. Like C4 from below, all that skylight area, the little square, is destructible from below, but Boar used his C4. He didn't have that as an option. So both he and Duds basically non-factors in that round because they went for a deep flank way too late.
I think a part of that was them falling off, though, right? Going through the hatch that was inside of Janitor.
Well, that's what I'm getting at, yeah.
And I mean, that was
10 seconds left.
It's tough because, I mean, think about it. If that worked, we would be praising them because they did fall off and scramble effectively. But
the odds were so against them, though.
Absolutely.
I mean, from the get-go, if it had worked, it would have been a miracle. And yeah, I probably would have been saying, wow, fantastic job for them. But I also probably would have been saying, lucky them. Palu, a free kill onto Drunks.
Hello.
Oh my gosh. So so Drunks attempted to run out from the terrace.
Not smart.
No, not smart.
Not smart.
That's how we can describe that. We'll leave it at that. We'll just move on.
I understand you've got your back to the wall and you're presuming that Liquid is probably going to win, and you might as well take a chance. Fair. But I personally don't think that it's not that peak, not on Bank.
Yeah, I mean that's what that is Drunks relying on Team Liquid for getting their basics, and Drunks Palu did not forget his basics. So Yuke's gonna get a refragged out. There goes Palu. So
it seems to be go everywhere mode engaged at the moment for INTZ. They are just play unpredictably.
It's the same thing they did on attack.
Yeah.
Just go everywhere and hope that you win all your fights.
And I mean, you lost a Jackal. Not bad. Those are your smokes down for Liquid.
Okay.
Which means that you now can't shroud the site in smoke. You can't cut it off. You'll have to just simply kill instead.
You can't silent drop anymore.
Correct. Well, I mean, I don't think that's enough to silent drop anyway.
I think you used to be able to do that on the tellers. And I think he tried to just now. Well, I'm not sure. Well, whatever. Boar is gonna get a kill onto Gohan. There you go. That's the Twitch gone as well. Sexy going to do some damage, but not get the kill onto the mute. And oh no, the murder hole there. Set up for the main stairs. That's good situational awareness for INTZ to force Sexy to fall back.
Actually surprised here that Nesk didn't decide to push up towards elevator. I know that the door is reinforced. You can see the Jaeger has moved up of duds, so possibly could have been a really bad idea, but Nesk is just going to survive this encounter very, very luckily. The Valkyrie is completely contained and will push in. And what are you doing?
Well, he was flashed anyway. He was bound to die, but...
Right, but going on your cam when you know you're getting pushed, that is not advisable. I'm not exactly certain what Yuke was thinking in that instance, as INTZ is now going to try to stave off this push, throw out a Nitro Cell, and it will do really not all that much. Boar is there, though, as Nesk trades him off, and this round looks like it's going to come to a pretty close, screaming conclusion. But INTZ is going to battle back, and Sexy Cake with just a tiny bit of HP is going to be the only person on his team that is going to have an opportunity to do this. He's got a brand new, newly designed face shield in front of him. Sprints in, but doesn't have the diffuser and those Valkyrie cameras, as well as possibly anything else. We'll be able to provide some information for INTZ.
15 seconds left.
You'll hear the timer yourself as more marks are coming out, and Duds is just going to sit and wait and hope that none of those bullets get penetrated through the thin cubicle walls. This is a almost impossible task for Sexy Cake. And he just turns to the side, and Boar will finish him off and end his misery. And that aggression looked like it was going to absolutely cripple INTZ through the stretch here, but Yuke ended up saving that round with a very quick kill onto the Jackal, and I don't think Liquid knew what to do after that, losing their smokes, and then they ultimately lost the plot inside a lobby.
You know, the really confusing thing to me is that I thought that it was actually going to be a comeback there, and Nesk was doing a whole lot of work for his team, but the ultimate problem there was that while Nesk was doing a bunch of work, Sexy Cake wasn't. He was a non-factor in the round, and he got forced back in tellers. He could have helped his teammate Nesk quite a lot right there if he had pushed at the same time. I feel like that could have ended up being a recovery, but it wasn't. And I agree with you. I think the aggression from INTZ working out for them, though, again, I would say that that's a little bit of luck that worked out, because, again, it's the strategy of, hey, let's spread ourselves out as much as possible and hope we win our fights. If you lose those fights, then you lose the round. So, good job to INTZ establishing that early man advantage after losing somebody early on and managing to lock out the round in the end. Team Liquid going to be now attacking onto INTZ's defense of the basement, somewhere where INTZ was previously successful.
Bomb located
This is
by
definitely I think the best sight we saw from INTZ. Best round we saw from INTZ overall, as Team Liquid tried some strategies that were ill-advisable. The way that they tried to attack server was also kind of just not really sure what they were planning there. Pushing in through the dirt tunnel and just about nothing else.
All right, so INTZ fighting for a draw as best as they can, Michael. Liquid will need to make sure that they don't just walk in all haphazardly and realize that they still have a match to play here as Liquid tries to keep pace with the top two teams. The standings will be shown at the conclusion of this matchup, but Liquid's role in the standings is that of the potential spoiler to the main two teams in both NIP and Immortals, with FaZe getting a victory today and likely will continue to pick up more victories given their recent success outside of the last two matches prior to that. So with how top-heavy Latin America tends to be, Liquid cannot afford to leave points on the table, especially to INTZ, who are the worst team statistically right now and the bottom-place team in the league.
Definitely something worth considering as Liquid starts opening up these drop-downs. Ooh, that's
too quick.
Yeah, a little bit of inefficiency there from the Maverick, and it actually really does matter. If you waste too much, then you will not be able to open up the drop down. You got to be really careful. He will very easily, I'm sure, be able to open up this drop down, but he's not going to be able to open up many holes in the second one, which, you know, can be very useful.
You can hear the Jackal ping as well go through again, but I think the defender is sitting behind a reinforcement. It's very difficult to tell from this angle if what appears to be, it looks like it might actually be Duds' Jaeger that's there.
has been located.
Sexy Cake, I think, a little bit overthinking this.
Not if he's intending, I don't know if he's intending to open it up or maybe even catch somebody underneath it. Remember how we saw Mav from FaZe sitting there?
True. I think he's just being cautious, though, to be honest. So we will eventually get it open. There you go.
Inefficient amount of that gas, though, with the breaching torch. And oh, Yuke!
What a clean shot.
That's a beautiful one. And the whole time, it was on camera. How was this not called out?
They could have countered his play.
Oh, my goodness. They had a camera up there the whole time.
Lucifer's going to get the second kill for his team. And INTZ in a tricky spot now on match point.
How is nobody watching that? unless they were. But Paulu's just going to push right in, and INTZ seemingly lost now as 3 members of the team are gone. And you've got your anchors from INTZ still available. Great cam up top. If only that had been there when they were trying to get the hatch.
Oh, wait.
It was. Boar pushing up. He has a nitro cell, but he gets spotted by Gohan sitting in the middle of the site. And Sexy Cake will end the suffering of INTZ, who did not look particularly keen to try to win that round with some of the plays that were made. Not sure if they were just hoping to get really aggressive and have Liquid get caught off guard, similar to what we saw on the previous defense of INTZ. Not entirely certain, but Liquid will earn that one.
Yeah. INTZ weren't in that last round. They weren't present.
Not as much as they needed to be.
No. And it was a very solid round from Liquid. Sexy Cake was very cautious on the drop down. He might not have been able to, get shot, to be honest, considering how cautious he was being.
Yeah.
He also managed to do a lot of work from those drop downs. He got 2 kills, if I'm not mistaken, just through the drops. So impressive play for him individually, and overall for Liquid. They managed to earn that win very decisively.
There were some mistakes made on Liquid's side of things. They did look a little bit too hasty, and they bit off a bit more than they could chew, and it ended up coming back to bite them. But, it's a 7-3 scoreline against the team that has yet to pick up a single victory in Latin America, and I think that's something to keep mind of. But not a lot to say. INTZ have got to find something over the next little while, because this is a team with a big org, a lot of expectations, very popular and well-known players in the scene. And you've got Intact, who is a great player. You've got Yuke, who's had a great history so far in Latin America amongst the rest of that supporting cast. And you just haven't been able to find a victory so far. And, you still got 10 games to go. Your tides could turn. Your fortunes could change, but...
INTZ's got the potential. They do have the potential. Liquid has realized their potential, as they are one of the top teams in Latin America, and they're going to prove that here today with that win, put themselves in a really good spot in the standings overall.
Yeah.
So,
which we will have for you in just a moment, actually, so you can actually see what happened at the conclusion of today's match, especially with the round differentials.
Yeah, those round differentials. We saw some pretty skewed matches, specifically the one of Pain versus Immortals. Immortals managing to win that 7-2. That's going to give them some serious leg up over everybody else.
Right. So, man, 3 pretty fast matches, all things considered, and then you had the really tight squeaker between both FaZe and Red Devils, which I don't honestly know. Looking at these 4 matches, I probably wouldn't have picked that one to be the closest of the 4 today.
Nope. That would have been the last match I would have picked. If I'm thinking closest match for the day, I'm probably thinking Black Dragons versus Ninjas in Pajamas.
Yeah.
That would be my first guess. But FaZe versus Red Devils.
I picked that one too.
Yeah.
So, here are the standings for you, just so you can see exactly what we are looking at and what you're looking at and what the rest of Latin America as a region as a whole are looking at. Liquid being gifted that 7-0 will really help their round differential and really hurt FaZe's too, but FaZe have managed to take the top 4, and once again the top 4 in Latin America look pretty normal. These are the big 3. It used to be called the big 3, Michael. I think we could start calling them the big 4 with Immortals now. I
think that's safe to say, yeah. Ninjas Bams, Immortals leading the way, but Liquid and FaZe, the 2, I think, longer-term staples for Latin America, and we're likely to see them start to retake those top positions later in the season.
So with INTZ not able to find a single win or a draw, they're the only team right now sitting at 0 points in Latin America. And off the top of my head, it's very tough. And I don't want to be the person to say this out loud in case I get corrected, but I think of the 3 regions that we broadcast might be the only team without a single point so far. I would have to I would have to dig in deeper, but
we've seen it before.
Yeah.
In the last season, it was Supremacy, I want to say.
Supremacy took a long while to be able to get a win on the board. Black Dragons also didn't get a win for quite a while. The old Black Dragons that ended up getting relegated. So that's that. But we are in the midst of the 6 invitational qualifiers, and we will have those final spots for the event in Montreal next month filled up in very short order. You can browse through your Twitch standing, or you can browse through the Twitch catalog of various streamers and find all of our community casters who have been taking part, whether they're in Latin America in this region, whether they're in EU, whether they're in North America, whether they're in English, French, Spanish, German, Portuguese, Russian, etc. Go through, thank your community casters, and a big salute to everybody who's been spending their time running through these on their own accord. As for us, we're all done, Michael. Milos and Emzo will be back up next in just a matter of time as Super Month continues to roll on. Don't go anywhere. Make sure that you tune in to our next broadcast. Enjoy the rest of your night and take care.